I'm Luke Beard.
I'm Chris Green.
I'm Riley Gunter.
And I'm Nash Rainey.
And we are the Backups. All right, let's move straight into college football. Clemson gets a sloppy win over Wake Forest. Did not look very strong. What do y'all take away from this game?
I mean, at least it's a W. That's honestly, that right now is what I just want from this team. It's just consistent wins. It might be sloppy. It's going to be nice to be in that top 25, but we got to get that offense together.
Yeah. Every win not gonna be pretty, but it's just like I want us to play better against a team like Wake Forest, and I feel like coming off a bye, and we got to play a team like Miami. We need to be on it. We can't play like that against Miami, because we playing like that, we might lose.
Yeah, no, I mean, it feels like a kind of a trademark of everything I've heard in the 2 years I've been here, of just defense played great, kind of sloppy offense, won the game. Like, it's just, especially for homecoming weekend, in a game we were favored by 20, it's just a little disappointing. I'm glad we won. That's really it at the end of the day, but not super happy with how we won.
It's hard to see the score like this game, and then compared to the Florida State game, where our offense looked pretty, something that we haven't seen before. But, Cade threw no deep balls at all this past game. Absolutely none. It's just hard to see.
Yeah, coming off a big win against Syracuse, that's really disheartening to watch. You get a bye week, then you have to go into Miami, a team who did just lose to Georgia Tech. However, it's a team that's also going to want to, get back, get some more wins, show that they're not a joke and that was just a fluke win or a fluke loss, which I can see how you would think it's just a fluke loss, considering, if you kneel the ball, you win that game. But we'll get to that later. Clemson they look super sloppy. This is not a team that the team that Clemson fans had seen for about the past 10 years. It's definitely a team seems like it's fallen off the rails a little bit, which is it's kind of rough. But I feel like we've been used to that in our first 2 years here. That's all we've seen.
I feel like it's going to be something we're just going to have to keep getting used to.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Nash take this one over after I announce it, but Wyoming did defeat number 24 ranked Fresno State, 24-19. Nash, give me your insight on this one.
It was my Mountain West favorite going into this season, and Wyoming is not disappointed. They're 5-1. Their only loss being to Texas. Fantastic play from the whole team. And, this is what you need. Not only is big for the conference play, but it's a win against a ranked opponent. Wyoming is looking like one of, if not the best group of 5 team in the country. And, this is the kind of win you need, especially going into next week when they're playing undefeated Air Force, which could be very important in that Mountain West race. So just a great win for the Cowboys.
Go there
Cowboys.
You go.
Yeah, not the first time you've said that.
I was going to say the same thing. And Oklahoma defeats Texas, the team that did beat Wyoming earlier in the season. But Oklahoma looked fantastic. Yeah. They have completely surprised me this season, a complete turnaround for the team. They're, I believe, 6-6 last year, 6-7, something along those lines.
Yeah, just not.
But they came out of nowhere, and they have taken college football by storm again. It feels like we're back to when Lincoln Riley was there. But Brent Venables has really buffed up this team. He got to bring in some guys. He has a fantastic defense, which you'd expect from him.
Yeah.
And his offense has played amazing. Dylan Gabriel looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with Oklahoma right now is that Brent Venables being there, he brought defense. And it's something that I would have expected.
And that's pretty much what won on the game, defense, at the end of the game. Pretty much what won on that.
Yeah.
And that key stop at the goal line.
Now the question's finally answered if Texas was back this season. No.
I don't know if it's answered yet, honestly, because this is a really good Oklahoma team. And this isn't a bad loss.
Yeah.
You lose to a touchdown with, 18 seconds left? That's not a bad way to go out. Well, it's a bad way to go out, but they didn't look bad in the game. They looked really strong. So if I'm Texas, I feel all right now. I'm not really stressing. Excuse me. I'm not really stressing about it. I'm just going to keep moving.
Yeah, I'm just a Texas hater. So
yeah,
it
works. Yeah. It was a really fun game to watch. Both teams are very competitive, very complete, and I think this it speaks. I wouldn't say Oklahoma's been underrated this year, but I think people weren't expecting this much out of them, and they've just kind of been a little bit under the radar in recent weeks, and this was kind of the win that I think put everyone
back on the Oklahoma train.
Yeah. Obviously, this is last year in the Big 12. We could end with no divisions. We could see this matchup again come conference championship time, but a really good win and a statement win for Venables.
Yeah, and then, going into next year, these are 2 teams moving into the SEC. This just shows that the SEC brought in 2 really good football teams.
Yeah.
So I mean, kudos to them. They did well. LSU beats Missouri 49-39. The score is a little further than the game actually was. That pick six at the end of the game really sealed it for LSU. But
Pretty much, yeah.
fantastic game. LSU looks like they're finally back on track. Well, their defense isn't. But I feel like everyone's come to expect this LSU defense is not a top-tier defense. This is a team that's going to let up a lot of points, but their offense is so good that they can pull out some wins. And this Missouri offense is fantastic. Just one missed play towards the end of the game and it lost in the game. That's how this game was. It's just shootout. You're going back and forth the whole time.
I mean, LSU, I'll give them credit too. They came back early from some adversity. Like Missouri was looking very strong at the beginning of this game. I thought they were possibly going to run away with it, but they kept themselves and they played a great game. And I agree that this is a team with just a fantastic offense and no defense. They feel kind of in a way like an opposite Clemson, where we're both 4-2. We've got the strong defense and maybe a lesser than great offense, and then they've got the strong offense and the lesser than great defense. So I mean, just a win that I think the Tigers needed.
Yeah, definitely. And then Alabama with a big one over A&M needed this one. It looked like for a while I thought A&M was going to take it. Alabama was not playing great.
The last couple of years, it's been seeming like A&M was going to take it. Then just like towards the end of the game, Alabama just pulls away.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a very good game. It feels like A&M's that team that it's so hard to think they're going to win.
Yeah.
Because they play so well, and then something happens in that second half, and it just completely falls apart for them. But it definitely gets Alabama back on track. They needed this SEC West win. I think it ties them for first in the SEC West, or might put them in first by themselves, because I don't think there's a single undefeated SEC West team. And but yeah, big one over big one over A&M is really what you need. I think this was for the lead of the SEC West, like this whole lead.
Yeah.
So Alabama definitely needed this one.
Strong showing from Saban's group. I mean, I'm an Alabama hater, and I was kind of hoping they'd lose this game, but they did what they needed to do, and I feel like that's kind of the statement coming out of this.
Yeah, definitely. And then you move into that Louisville-Notre Dame game. Louisville just dominated them. They stomped them. And that's really not what you expect out of a Notre Dame team that, just beats Duke and barely lose to Ohio State. Maybe this Louisville team is just better than we thought.
I feel like it's two stories going on. I think Notre Dame has had a very tough schedule in recent weeks. They've been playing a lot of night games against ranked opponents. I think that wears down. But I also, on the other hand, think Louisville's a very strong team this year. They've been playing very well. And you think Louisville, you think of them, I think of them, if you discount the last 10 years, you think of them as more basketball school. They play in the KFC Yum Center. But this is a Louisville team that has played phenomenally, and we haven't seen something like this in a while from them. And this is the kind of win they needed, because now, I didn't have them anywhere close to the top of the ACC, and they're putting themselves there.
It was something like before the season I saw a ton of people say, like, oh, this Louisville team is a dark horse for the ACC. And I knew they were going good, but this win for them, it's like a statement win saying, hey, like, these are ACC contenders this year.
Yeah.
With how ACC's now this year.
Yeah, 3 undefeated teams that definitely have a chance to run the table. So.
And Louisville plays Duke. I want to say it's either this week or next week, or in the upcoming weeks. If they win that, I think they've pretty much sealed to go to the ACC championship.
And you put that if in there, but it looks like Duke is going to be without Riley Leonard, and that's a huge loss for them, especially going up against Louisville, who's played fantastic. I guess you could really rename the stadium to the KFC Yum Stadium, just the way they've been playing. They've earned it. Georgia Tech defeats Miami on one of just the goofiest plays I've ever seen.
You just can't do that.
You run the football with, I think it's like 37 seconds. All you have to do is kneel there. That's all you have to do. This is the second time Mario Cristobal's done that.
He did
it in Oregon too.
Oh, well, you should have learned the first time.
It's just
you did that.
What are you doing?
I mean,
why would you run it? And then Georgia Tech goes down the field in like 2 plays, scores on you. It's a perfect pass by Georgia Tech's quarterback on that touchdown too. It was fantastic. But I saw Miami fans they were complaining. Everyone was mad. It was so funny.
And even now, like, Miami fans are saying, oh, it's the ACC ref's fault. They said that he still had possession going down. Watching the replay, he may or may not have. And then they're saying that the Georgia Tech player, he slid a little going into the end zone.
That's what I saw.
And they're saying that he's a little short. I mean, honestly, that was my first impression of the play. But I'm just like, Georgia Tech is always that team every year. They beat Florida State at Georgia Tech off a missed field goal a few years. Georgia Tech's always that one team that's just going to upset someone.
Yeah.
Well, and with the player sliding, he really didn't look to be sliding. He was jumping into the end zone to make sure he didn't get caught, and he was going feet first. It's not really a slide.
They're just trying to cope, man.
It's Miami fans complaining. Can't get a win in Hard Rock Stadium. You can't get a win.
You can be mad. You can be mad at the refs, but really, Mario Cristobal decided to run it with 37 seconds.
Yeah.
It's your coach to blame. Don't.
It feels like, especially in the modern game, there's so much talk of analytics and coaches needing to know clock management and stuff like this. But this is one of the simplest decisions you can make.
It's called victory formation for a reason.
It's called the victory formation. There are I feel like this is, it's obvious. It feels like it was almost planned in a comical way. They're getting punished for running the ball.
Yeah.
Did Cristobal have over on rushing yards? That's it's such a silly way to lose a game.
Yeah, I just imagine on the sideline somebody on Georgia Tech was like, what if he just fumbled the ball and we just
what if we get this back?
Yeah.
It's just
ridiculous.
And
USC barely skims by Arizona. That feels like it's just been what has happened with USC this season. They're just not really playing well.
Strong offense, no defense, and
And they have some rough games coming up too.
Yeah.
So they're going to definitely have to lock in if they want to start winning games.
I've been saying this the past few weeks. They've been playing very well. They are a top 10 team, I think. But they're going to hit a serious contender. They're going to hit, they're going to play someone a bit bigger who has a bit of a better defense and is going to beat them. I mean, 3 overtimes against Arizona is concerning.
That's terrible.
It's an Arizona team that's been getting close to some upsets too. They almost beat Washington last week. This is a good Arizona team that's just had some rough games they've had to go up against.
Yeah.
And then Ole Miss defeats Arkansas 27-20 in the Valley. And these were two teams that really excited to go and see. We were at the game, and I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. It was a really slow game for the first about 3 quarters. Yeah. And then finally they started scoring. KJ Jefferson he looked great.
Outside of those 2 interceptions.
Yeah, 2 rough interceptions too. But that's a big dude who's just running people over. And then Jackson Dart also looked fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy throws the ball in like a rope. He's great quarterback.
Well said. I think me and Chris might have had the same idea here, but honestly, I think Clemson could beat both of these teams by 30. We're not good this season, but watching that game,
I'm gonna be honest.
Clemson would lose to both of these teams by 10.
I don't think so, man. I don't think so.
We can't score. If you can't score a touchdown, you're not going to win.
We got a better defense, man. That defense against them.
Jackson Dart would have. There's a good defense on Clemson, but Jackson Dart would put up 3 touchdowns.
I may have been over-exaggerating when I said by 30, but I think we can beat them. To be honest.
I will say Arkansas's defense did hold.
Yeah.
Ole Miss's yardage down for I think it's the least it's been in 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah,
good defensive game.
Complete game.
And let's move on to the NFL. Lions just they decimate the Panthers, and this is not a great Panthers team. Every week I try to give a little hope, but this has not been great. Nash, what are you thinking?
Yeah. Well, I guess the best way to put it is the last time I've had any kind of hope or excitement for this team was 2017 when I was in middle school. So since then, it's basically been a straight downhill ride. This game is just, it just sucks, man. I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm not angry. I'm just kind of deflated.
You just gotta accept it.
It's I kept checking the score because after halftime I wasn't gonna watch that game. Keep checking the score and it's oh, they scored another touchdown. Oh, they got another touchdown. Oh, Bryce Young didn't get it done on 3rd down. Who could have thought? Oh.
Aiden Hutchinson getting one-handed interception.
It's brutal, man. That's all I could say. I hate football. I hate this team, and I'm excited to see us this coming Sunday.
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding, baby.
The Jaguars beat the Bills in their hometown of London. And it feels like the Jaguars they play their best football in London.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, they're going to move the team there, I think. Or there will be a team in London at some point, and I think the Jaguars are the top choice if there's going to be one. But, that's a big one, beating the Bills. This is a Bills team that looks like a top contender. They just decimated the Dolphins. So it's a good win. Great takeaway for the Jaguars. Travis Etienne looked fantastic. This is the best game I feel like he's had in a long time.
Yeah.
So, and they shut down Josh Allen. Josh Allen beat Josh Allen. It's
Pretty much. I was saying pretty much.
Yeah. So, anyone else have anything to add?
I like what I'm seeing from this Jaguars team. This is a good win. Obviously, the international game, I feel like they're a bit more favored just because they play there so often. But, this is a team that I feel like, you give them 2-3 good off seasons, they could really be something. I think they could be a playoff team this year. They were last year. And it's the kind of win you want to see from an up-and-coming team like this.
Yeah. Steelers beat Ravens 17-10. I just thought this was not a great game of football. Matt Canada looked furious that the Steelers scored on the game-winning touchdown because apparently Kenny Pickett audibled out, and he was mad his team won. Yeah. As soon as Kenny Pickett starts audibling, the Steelers start scoring. That's all I'm saying. But it's a bad loss for the Ravens. It's a bad look. If you're not beating the Steelers, or division rival.
And it was mainly bad because it was like, I know Lamar had a bad turnover at the end of the game, but like receivers just were not catching.
They had 8 drops, I think, for 100 and something. It would have been for like 100 plus yards.
Flowers had an open touchdown.
Yeah, so if you're getting drops like that with your young guys, your older guys, just anybody,
it's just not good.
You're not winning the football game.
I saw it on Twitter, like Lamar Jackson probably had the best 0 touchdown, 1 interception performance ever.
Yeah.
It's the Steelers defense played phenomenal, and the Ravens receivers did not want.
And that's been like the story of the Ravens for the last few years.
Yeah.
They'll see footage like that and still find a way to blame Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. And then the Falcons pick up a big one over the Texans. Texans team that's shown a lot of promise. C.J. Stroud has looked great. He still looked great in that game. Younghoe Koo, he pretty much iced it at the end. Game-winning field goal, best kicker in the league. So you expect that out of him. Desmond Ridder put on a fantastic performance. I thought he looked great, which surprised me a little bit because I've been vocal about how I feel about Desmond Ridder. However, he's definitely turned me around this season. I'm really confident in what he can do. I think he's a really able player, capable of, putting up a lot of yards. So.
Strong performance from both quarterbacks, I would say. It must be nice to see a good QB play well and then win a game. So hopefully one day I'll see something like that, but one can dream. Just, it's not great to see the Falcons win, but they did it well. And I got to give respect where respect's due. They played a good game.
The Chiefs beating the Vikings also a pretty big one for them. I might have been wrong on my Vikings Super Bowl prediction. That might be a little off. I'm feeling a bounce back coming. They're going, how many more games are there? Like 11?
11, 12.
12, something like that. They're winning the rest of them, even with Justin Jefferson on IR. I have zero doubt that Kirk Cousins cannot get it done. That's the best quarterback in the history of football. And I'm expecting him to absolutely dominate every single team he plays.
Okay, that's
in all seriousness, the Vikings have definitely underperformed.
Yeah.
It's not what I expected from this team. The Chiefs look fantastic still. They look great.
Great win for
It's a good Chiefs team. It's what you come to expect.
Yeah. It feels this is like I envision it maybe a different path for the Vikings where Justin Jefferson on IR. Pretty sure Kirk Cousins' contract's supposed to expire. Maybe you just keep losing and draft a quarterback. But, who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe they'll win the next 12 games and just go to the Super Bowl. I can't see the future.
Guy like you wouldn't get it. The 49ers beat Riley's favorite team, the Cowboys. Riley, that was a rough game for you to watch. I think you were in tears during that one, weren't you?
Gotta clear the rooms again. Not a Cowboy fan. I just happened to have a Dak Prescott jersey. And after his performance, I might as well throw it away or burn it because,
you should have been there.
3 interceptions, 2 back-to-back. What are you doing? But on the other hand, my 49ers, Brock Purdy is absolutely him. He had 4 touchdowns. Stop making the face saying that I'm a Cowboys fan.
His 49ers?
Just we will win the Super Bowl this year. That's all I'm saying.
I hope so.
Yeah, I can't see the Cowboys
This-
winning the Super Bowl, but you know.
This is the 49ers' year because this has to be because with how much we've been signing people on their contracts, we're going to have to trade them away. So this is the year for it to happen, and we have no incoming talent since all our first-round picks are.
My only thing with the Niners is they'll end up having to face like a really good NFC team at some point in the playoffs, probably the Falcons. And, you know, we'll get a big Falcons, and who else would make it? Who's another good Super Bowl contender this
I
year?
would say Panthers.
The Eagles,
But they can't make
the
it.
Eagles are the Lions to be honest.
Well,
Yeah, for
I'm
the
talking about the Super
16
Bowl.
Panthers to
you
play
talking-
the
yeah.
Niners and the NFC
thought you meant like
champions.
0-17.
Oh, Falcons Raiders. There you go. That would be a great game, a tough game. Speaking of the Raiders beat the Packers 17-13. This was a team that Chris was calling the worst team in football, who then proceed to beat his Packers. Chris, how are we feeling?
I didn't say they were the worst team in football, but
You said they were terrible.
they are. I mean, but to be fair, we're terrible too. So I'm gonna get to Jordan Love in a minute, but the rest of that coaching staff, I hope they stayed in Vegas because fired Joe Barry. We don't even need to get into that. Defense was terrible. Well, defense actually kept us in the game, but Jordan Love got to be better. You can't throw 3 interceptions and
Expect to win.
and then we couldn't score on the goal in the red zone. We had so many chances to score, and we just did not score.
What do you know about winning?
Good game for the Raiders. And the thing is, Raiders fans wanted us to win this game so they can get their coach fired. So that make it even worse.
Do they have enough money to fire Josh McDaniels?
I don't even
Have they
know.
gained enough money now?
know.
I knew they didn't last year.
Yeah.
I mean, they could. It's Vegas. They could win it all.
Yeah, it's time to go gamble away the money. All right, Chelsea defeats Burnley. Massive 4-1 win. I remember we were sitting there when Burnley went up, and I just said Chelsea's going to win 3-1. I was just off. Luckily for you, Nash, it was 4-1. How do you feel?
Well, I mean, you know, being a bit of a new Premier League and new soccer fan, I think I may have chosen not the best choice of teams. You know, maybe a team fighting relegation isn't the one. I was very excited when they went up 1-0. I mean, Chelsea is a world-class team with world-class players, but it feels very Chelsea of them, especially what we've seen the past few years of them, you know, for them to go lose 1-0 to a team like Burnley. But
Yeah.
I guess the revenge tour has
It just
started.
goes
and-
back to Burnley. You know, they're back in the Premier League. They're going to get relegated immediately. Like,
Well, I disagree. I
of
think
course you disagree. You're a fan of Burnley. Like,
think if
you
you
don't
look
want
at-
it to happen, but it's going to.
if you look at the first 20 minutes of this game and nothing else, I think you could very much make a case that this could be a top 15 side. But
Yeah, but games are 90 minutes. not 40.
overall, it's a tough loss. But I mean,
What's happening in that extra 70 that we don't want to get into?
it's a tough loss. But you know, Chelsea is the future Real Madrid, so nothing I didn't expect, at least a little bit.
And talking about, you know, tough games, Brighton and Liverpool, they just draw 2-2. Really anticlimactic way to, you know, see y'all's teams go up against each other. I was really hoping that one of your teams would win to hear this argument,
I
but
will
there's
say,
nothing to argue about.
At least
now.
from, I would say maybe Chris's perspective, maybe this wasn't the best outcome. But for Brighton, this was honestly, I went in thinking we were going to lose. That we have a tough month ahead of us. But it was good to finally get a tie and not be in the L column.
Yeah, 1-6 Brighton. Or my bad, 1-2-6 Brighton. Apologies.
That was last week. You know, we're dealing with a lot of injuries right now, so as the season progresses, we should be getting back up to where we were.
Sure. Anyway, Newcastle and West Ham draw. There's really not much to take away. You know, Nathan Shelley's side is just absolutely fantastic. So,
It's just Newcastle's also dealing with the Champions League right now, so their players aren't going to be as well rested, and they did just kill PSG 4-1.
yeah, but they couldn't beat the Wunderkid.
That is true. Yeah.
So-
but they can-
Yeah.
He's still their coach, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And Ted Lasso. No spoilers. Anyway, the Wolves draw with Aston Villa. After Aston Villa absolutely, you know, dominates a team and just defeats a team that's a lot better than Wolves and Brighton, just, you know, they decimate them.
Yeah,
6-1.
destroyed 'em.
And then you
gotta keep bringing it up.
tie 1-1 with Wolves. That's a really rough way
It's just
to
weird.
keep that momentum going.
Just Aston Villa being 5 on the table right now, something that I didn't expect. And this Wolves team I thought was going to be like a 17th, 16th place team. They're really showing some promise after beating Man City.
Yeah.
They're showing that they're going to be one of these new up-and-coming teams.
What can
in
you
the league
say?
right now.
Beating Man City. Speaking of teams that beat Man City, Arsenal defeats Man City 1-0, the best club in the world. the strongest club in all of soccer, not football.
You're actually behind
And,
Tottenham. Right
you know, like, well, you claim that, but
now. No, that's what the table.
when you look at the table, you're really like, this Arsenal team should definitely be above Tottenham. Anyway,
Well, y'all had a draw with Tottenham. So.
well, Arsenal's the best team of all time, honestly. So,
Yeah, in 2003, yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
say,
well-
this was the first time Man City has lost 2 straight Premier League games since 2018. So,
Crazy.
not saying that if I was a Man City fan, I'd be worried, because you really don't need to be worried
It's just on
whatsoever. It's just,
a cold street. Right?
yeah.
Is it
They'll warm back
maybe it's time for them to blow it up? Maybe Holland goes to the San Jose Earthquakes. I feel like that could be.
Yeah, Holland,
mean,
Holland to MLS.
it's a good loan.
Arsenal, I'll give it to you. They played a great game.
Yeah.
They won well, but I don't see this Arsenal team beating Atlanta United or Charlotte FC. I just
Okay, bro. All right. Just start talking.
All right, we're moving on to the MLB playoffs. Twins beat Blue Jays 2-0 in games, and then, you know, they have to go against the Astros, and that didn't go as well. They lose to the Astros 3-1.
Yeah.
Then the Rangers go and beat the Rays 2-0, and then they just decimate the Orioles 3-0. Did not see that coming at all. I thought this Orioles team was really good, and then the Rangers they came flying through. Diamondbacks beat Brewers 2-0 as well, and then they beat the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Also didn't expect that. Huge win for the Diamondbacks. This organization looks really good right now. This is probably the team to me that has the most momentum right now in the playoffs. They got hot at the right time and they're winning.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, they'll have to wait to see who they're playing because Phillies and Braves.
played tonight.
Yeah, but they're going to have to take some time off, especially if the Braves end up winning. The Diamondbacks are kind of in a rough area where they have to sit and wait, and then
Yeah.
it might cool them down a little bit. It's hard. When you have such a long time in between games in baseball, it's really hard to pick back up and continue a hot streak.
Yeah.
So right now it looks like the Diamondbacks are destined for the World Series. However, this break could really mess up their flow.
It could be really influential.
Yeah. But, Braves down 2-1. Had a huge comeback in Atlanta,
Yeah.
Game 2. Then got just stomped in Game 3.
Decimated last night.
They play tonight. I'm expecting the Braves win.
Yeah.
Bring it back to Atlanta. Braves win that too. And then just sweep the rest of the way, hopefully.
Oh yeah, did y'all see
I don't know
that
about
like
that.
the teams with the best records are like 1-12 in the playoffs?
Yeah,
they're not winning these games.
Teams with the best records do not do great in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was
it's
gonna
always
say,
weird. It's when you get hot, not how well you play in the regular season. It's always been
just
that
when
way.
you need it. Yeah. I mean, if Atlanta can win this series, they'll truly give some credit to their nickname, Hotlanta. At least I think.
All right, let's move on to overtime. Chris, you can start us off.
All right.
The man from Hotlanta.
All right, so some news in the UFC. So it was a big card coming up in the next week, I believe. So it was supposed to be Oliveira and Islam, but Charles had a really bad cut, so he had to pull out of the fight. And now we're getting probably an even better main event. Volkanovski stepped in on short 11 days notice, going against Islam, and the co-main event was supposed to be between Paulo Costa and Hamzat. And Paulo Costa got surgery 3 weeks before the fight, and he announced that, so Dana White was like, no, he won't be fighting. So now it's going to be Kamaru Usman and Hamzat for the co-main, so should be a pretty good card.
I'm
Moving
excited
on
to
to
watch.
Moving on to me, UCL and Europa League was last week, and there's some exciting games. As a somewhat AC Milan fan, we played Dortmund, and it was, of course, a tie. But as a Brighton fan, this was humongous for the club and the team. Got our first point in Europe, even though it was a tie. We played in Marseille. It's in France. I'm pronouncing it terribly wrong. Anyway, we were down 2-0 at halftime, scored in the second half, and then in the 89th minute, we got a penalty kick, and João Pedro hit the equalizer to tie us. And that was the most ecstatic I think I've been watching a soccer game ever. That was peak
I've never been
performance.
that excited for a draw, but
It's not that it is a draw. It's just the team needed the draw.
you
That's,
needed that.
that's all that
To be fair,
matters.
yeah, you needed that.
But man, there's some good games, good matches.
Right? Considering it's fall now and with all the other sports in swing, we don't really get to talk about the WWE that much. But this past week, NXT, which for those who don't know is the feeder division of WWE, smaller talent, smaller events, had a absolutely stacked episode with a lot of the greats of the WWE. We saw The Undertaker, we saw Paul Heyman, we saw John Cena. And it was, I mean, as someone who watched it live, it was incredibly entertaining, and just, you know, it's something you don't get to see often with some of these smaller, less known wrestlers. It was a cool opportunity. You know, I see the people I do know and I like, and I get to see them interact with some young up-and-comers that we might see later in a few years. So it was a good episode.
We also got to see the GOAT from Hotlanta, Mr. Cody Rhodes. You feel me?
Do you feel him, sir?
All right, for my overtime, I want to talk about the new sportsman guide to the Olympics. So for 2028 in the Los Angeles Olympics, they added cricket, squash, which I'll be honest, I know cricket. I have no clue what squash is. I've heard of it, but I'm not exactly sure what that entails. I'm excited to see what it is, though. I think that'll be super interesting. But as well as non-contact football, so flag football, and lacrosse, two sports that I know very well. So with the additions of, you know, sports like lacrosse and football, I feel like America might just dominate those. That was very American addition. Cricket will more than likely not qualify. Yeah. Squash, I have no clue. Well, and I believe baseball and softball are also getting added. I'm not positive. I know they were definitely up for debate, but just it's really cool to see them adding new stuff in 2028. It's a long time coming.
Yeah.
But you know, putting American football in there is just feels.
That's not fair, man.
It feels wrong. You're just going to throw in your best quarterbacks and receivers, and then bang, there you go.
Go crazy.
That's the Super Bowl of the world.
With no fear.
You can finally call yourself world champions.
Bring some freedom to the Olympics.
I will say, since it's 2028 is in LA, we automatically qualify with a cricket team, which will be interesting to see because I don't think I've ever met a single American who plays cricket. So I don't know who we're going to have out there, but I mean, I would love to see just a bunch of, you know, college prospects just absolutely destroying some country that doesn't even really know the rules of the game. I'm excited. It's far out, but I'm excited for when it does come.
Yeah, just, you know, with the Olympics coming up next year too, it brings more excitement for me just because I'm excited for these Olympics. Paris Olympics, I think this will be a fantastic opportunity for the U.S. to show that they're still the dominant, you know, sports country. We are number one. But in 2028, home soil, flag football, winning every game by 100 is going to be absolutely absurd. I don't even know who will qualify for this. I know a lot of Europeans are kind of big in flag football. I've heard that that's sort of big over there.
Big in Mexico, too.
But if you have, you know, Tyreek Hill, and then you got Patrick Mahomes, like Travis Kelce, how are you going to beat them? The NFL couldn't beat them. What's going to happen? So, yeah, I'm just excited to see it happen. Anyone have anything else?
All right.
No, that's it.
All righty. Well, thank you for watching. We will see y'all next week.